Hi everyone, welcome to my floor and welcome to a big declutter of my entire makeup collection. So I have everything laid out here. I'm gonna go through kind of each category one at a time and let you know what I'm keeping and what I'm planning to declutter. The only thing that's not in this video is my lip products, which I have back here in this bin. I did these in a separate video where I actually try every single one of them on my face because it had just been so long since I had worn some of these kind of more bold colors that I felt like I needed to remind myself what they all looked like on me. So I do have that video. I'll link it down below if you want to check that one out. But I'm doing everything else today. I'm also trying something new. I asked you guys on Instagram if you'd be interested in purchasing any of my makeup that I declutter, anything that's in like, good enough shape and that's sanitary to share and pass along to someone else. And all of you said yes. Only one person out of a ton of you who responded said that they weren't interested. So I am going to go for that. I think I'll try to sell them probably on my Instagram stories first, just to avoid any kind of processing fees that come along with companies like Mercari or Poshmark or things like that. So I'll probably try to sell them directly to you all first over on my Instagram, which is linked in the description box. And then if they don't sell that way, I'll probably list them to, strangers on Poshmark or Mercari or something like that. So I will add any relevant links for that down below in case you want to purchase anything that you see me declutter today. And I think that's it. So let's go ahead and start here. I'm going to move some stuff out of frame, so we're focusing kind of on one of these bins at a time. And now that so much is pushed out of the way, I think I can actually zoom in quite a bit. So let me do that quickly. All right, that's a little better. You can see things pretty clearly now. So let me go ahead and separate these out into a couple of categories. Primers are over here. These are kind of two miscellaneous items and then setting sprays. I only have two setting sprays. I have my Urban Decay All Nighter setting spray, which is great for longevity of my makeup. This is like a holy grail product to me. I'm definitely keeping this. And then this one is from the e.l.f. and Jen Atkin line, and it's called Mist Me, and it's like coconut scented. The spray on it is really nice and fine, and I use this particularly when I've done like a powder face of makeup, like used powder cheek products, and things are just looking a little too powdery and I want to kind of melt everything together a little bit. So that's mostly what I use this for, and I do really like it for that. So I'm going to hold on to this as well. And then these two products are also kind of, they're sort of separate from these face primers. So this is an eyeshadow primer from Milani. I definitely need this. I've been having issues the last like maybe year and a half with my eyeshadow just not staying as vibrant as it used to on me. I don't know what has changed, maybe my skincare, I'm not really sure, but I definitely need this eyeshadow primer, so keeping that. And then this is just a lip oil that oftentimes when I come down to film or to do my makeup, I realize my lips are super dry and I need something to just give them a little bit of moisture before I start doing my makeup, or while I'm doing the rest of my makeup, I'll wear this. So it just stays with my primers. Nothing super special here, but I am going to keep this as well. And now with these face primers, I think I'm going to get rid of a few things. So first up here, I have the two different primers from Becca. One is the backlight priming filter and one is the first light priming filter. Both of these are fine. They're both very glowy base products, and generally in the past I've liked glowy base products, but these two, I think they must have like actual particles of something glittery because they kind of settle into my pores in an unflattering way sometimes. More so with the backlight priming filter than the first light priming filter. But I'm kind of thinking I might get rid of these. I think that someone else would get a lot more use out of them. And because Becca has gone out of business, and these two products are not something that Smashbox picked up when they kind of picked up some of the Becca products, I'm kind of thinking that someone might really appreciate the chance to have these. So I'm gonna pass these along. I just have a little cardboard box back here for everything getting decluttered today. So I'll put those there. Another one that is sort of, I guess I have mixed feelings about this. This is the Catrice Prime and Fine Aqua Fresh Hydro Primer. And I've heard nothing but incredible things about this primer from people I really, really trust on YouTube and Instagram. And I thought with my dry skin that I would really, really love this. And I do like it. It's not that I don't like it. It's just that honestly, I'd rather use like my normal skincare. It's very rare that I actually reach for this. I think I've only used it maybe like once or twice. I don't feel like it actually added real hydration to my skin. I feel like it just kind of added more or less like kind of a cooling layer. And so I don't think I'm ever going to really reach for this. I think I'm more likely to reach for like my own face moisturizer or a face oil or something like that before I reach for this. So I'm gonna go ahead and pass this along as well. And then we're down to two, and these are relatively similar products. So one is the NYX Angel Veil, and one is the Ordinary High Adherence Silicone Primer. They're basically both just silicone primers that smooth pores and things like that. The Angel Veil is, I'd say probably about halfway gone, and I like it a lot, but I actually prefer the Ordinary. I prefer the formula of the Ordinary. So I do feel like this one from the Ordinary helps my makeup longevity as well as kind of blurring pores. And so I haven't been reaching for the NYX Angel Veil kind of since I got the Ordinary version. And the Angel Veil is probably, oh gosh, I don't even know, multiple years old at this point. So I actually think this one needs to be just thrown out. I think it has probably expired, which is unfortunate. I shouldn't have bought another similar product. I should have used this one up before I bought something else, but I didn't do that. So I think it's time to just toss the Angel Veil. So that means I now only have my two sprays, my one primer, my eye primer, and my lip oil here in my kind of like primer prep and whatnot basket. And I'm happy with this. I do think I want to replace my Milk Hydro Grip primer. I'm really missing that lately. So I'm either gonna purchase that or I'm gonna maybe buy the one from e.l.f. that's supposed to be a dupe. We'll see which one ends up in my collection, but I think I'm gonna add that because that is something I do really miss and it feels like it's missing from my collection. But for now, this is what we've got. Okay, next up, we've got the bin with my concealers and foundations. And I also just have one little like sampler card in here. So I'm gonna toss that to the side. I'm gonna go ahead and kind of empty this basket quick. Okay, we'll do foundations first and then we'll move on to my concealers. So I'm just gonna go side to side here. And this first one is the Merit Complexion Stick, and I have this in the shade Dune. It's a really beautiful kind of solid stick formula. I love the shade of this. It's absolutely perfect for my skin tone, and I do really like the formula. It's hard to describe. It's nice and emollient. It's really light coverage. So it's great for those days when I just want to perfect a couple things on my skin, but I don't really want it to look like I'm wearing any sort of heavy makeup. So I've really liked this. I do think it's insanely expensive for the amount of product you get. It is like not a good value for your money, but I love it. And because I own it, I'm going to hold on to this. Next up is my ColourPop Pretty Fresh foundation. This is currently my favorite foundation in my collection. It has been for, actually a few years at this point. It's been my favorite. It's a really good medium coverage. It's really hydrating on my dry skin. I just absolutely adore it. I have the shade Light 55N, and it's pretty perfect for me in the wintertime. It's a little light for me in the summer, but it's good enough year round that I use this pretty much constantly. Next up, I have both of my foundations from The Ordinary. So I have the Coverage Foundation and the Serum Foundation. I love both of these formulas so much. My shade's a little bit off, and I've considered actually repurchasing at least the Coverage Foundation, where the wrong shade is kind of a little more obvious. I've considered repurchasing it, I should say, in a lighter shade and a less yellow shade. but honestly, it's good enough. And so I would rather use up what I have. I have them both in shade 2.0N. This line runs really, really yellow. So even the neutral shades are pretty yellow. And I like them though. These are incredible formulas. In particular, the Serum Foundation is a top favorite for me for kind of that light to medium coverage. But the Coverage Foundation is also a beautiful high, medium, or full coverage option. So this is definitely my most full coverage choice right now, and I love it. And so I'm going to hold on to both of these for their versatility. Next up, I have my Smashbox Studio Skin 24-Hour Hydra Foundation. I have this in the shade 1.1, the shade Fair Light Neutral. I like this. I did a review of this earlier this year and I did like it. I really, really liked it. It's a pretty solid medium coverage. You can build it up a little bit. At the time that I reviewed it, it was summer and my skin had a little more hydration. Now that we're in the winter, I'm noticing that it actually clings to some dry patches on my skin pretty badly. I think that for someone with combo skin, this would be an incredibly gorgeous formula because it is hydrating enough for those kind of slightly drier parts of your face. But I also think this would perform really well and have really good longevity on slightly oilier skin. So I do really, really like this. It's not that I don't recommend it. The shade is just a little bit deep for me most of the year. It works in the summer. But because the shade's just a tiny bit off and because I've only used it a few times, it's basically brand new. I think I'm gonna actually pass it along because I think it'll be perfect for someone out there and it's maybe just not me, and that's okay. Next up, this is basically brand new to me. I don't think I've even talked to you guys about it on my channel yet. It's the Bare Minerals Primetime BB Primer Cream. It has SPF of 30 in it. It is a full fluid ounce. It looks like a really tiny little bottle, but it's a full fluid ounce. I have the shade Light. I've really been liking this. I've only used it, I think, 3 times, so can't quite speak to it fully yet, but it's like the lightest, sheerest coverage option I have, even less coverage than the Merit complexion stick. It is like almost not there, but it blurs my skin really nicely. It feels like it probably has silicones in it, and it, you know, you can tell when it's on your skin because it's such a blurring tint on my skin. So I really like this. I can't wait to keep kind of testing it out. I think especially in the summer, I will find myself reaching for this constantly. Okay, let me just do this one really quick. It's from Wander Beauty. It's their Nude Illusion Foundation. And this is in the shade Fair Light. And I just have this little tiny sampler size. I'm keeping it in my collection just because I want to use it. I've actually never used it. I've never tried this formula, so I'm excited to try it out. And this is actually enough product in here that if I like it, this is probably good for like little trips and stuff. So definitely worth holding on to. And now onto 2 different products that I'm not sure what to do with. This from ColourPop, the Pretty Fresh Hyaluronic Acid Tinted Moisturizer. I have the shade Light 5N. A perfect shade for me in the winter. A little bit light in the summer, but good enough. The thing that has thrown me off about this is I have found that as my skin is getting drier and drier the more I live in Colorado, the less this is working for me. I'm actually finding that it's not hydrating enough and it is really makeup-y looking on top of any dry areas on my skin. So this I think is just an automatic, it's gotta go for me. I am hoping that someone else can get some good use out of this. I loved this for a really long time. I think my skin is just even drier now than it ever has been in the past and it's not working for me anymore. And unfortunately, I think the same thing has happened with this Essence Pretty Natural foundation. I loved this when I first reviewed it. This one I'm feeling on the fence about because I really do like it. I feel the same about this Smashbox one. These two are kind of sad to me because I reviewed them for the first time in the summer when my skin had just a little bit more moisture to it. And I think neither one works for me now, and I'm so bummed out because they're both marketed as very hydrating products, and I think maybe they're just not perfect for me. And because I have things like the ColourPop Pretty Fresh that works perfectly for me all year round, and even my ordinary coverage foundation and serum foundation. They're even more moisturizing for my skin. I think these are just no-goes for me now, and it's really, really a bummer because I think I've only used each of them a handful of times, but I think it's time to say goodbye. I'm gonna scoot all these over here so that I can get out my foundation or my concealers quickly. Okay, so I'm just gonna work side to side again. This is the Becca Under Eye Brightening Corrector. I have the shade Light Medium, I believe is what it's called. It doesn't say on there. It's just this under eye corrector that I feel like everyone rants and raves about. And I have a little like mini size pot of this. I don't really like it. I actually think that as someone with really, really dark circles under my eyes, this brings more attention to it because it's kind of gives, it's a sort of, how do I describe this? It's a light reflecting quality almost. And on my under eyes, it makes them look more hollow and sunken. So I actually really don't like this, not even underneath of other concealers and stuff. I just genuinely prefer how my concealers look just on their own under my eyes. So I'm going to go ahead and pass this along. Next up, my Thrive Cosmetics Buildable Blur HD Creaseless Concealer. I have the shade Fair Cool, and I love this concealer. I think this is my favorite concealer in my collection right now. It is just unbelievable. It's waterproof, so it's like honestly bulletproof. Like it is so, so, so good. It lasts through everything, and it's a perfect shade for me. It's like the perfect consistency. It's medium coverage, but you can build a second layer up and get a decent amount of coverage out of it. This is just awesome. Next up is my e.l.f. Camo Concealer, and this one, I am not sure how I'm feeling about it, to be honest. I hesitate to get rid of this because it's definitely my highest coverage concealer, and sometimes I really do want that look. And oftentimes when I want full coverage, I don't actually want full coverage like foundation. What I want is full coverage in the places where I tend to put concealer. And so this has been a really good pairing with some of my like lighter coverage foundations and stuff. So I think I'm gonna hold on to it for right now. Maybe I should create a little chopping block basket. I am going to use this empty box that I had over here. I'm gonna start a chopping block basket. Oh my goodness, I can't say those words. I'm gonna start a little basket of things that are kind of like, I'm not sure that I want to keep them, but I need to try them at least one more time before getting rid of them. And you know what else is gonna go in here? I think the Essence and the Smashbox are gonna go in here. I'm gonna give them one last chance, try to do some really good skincare prep and see how they go. If they don't impress me the next time I wear them, they're gonna go. If they do impress me, I will hold on to them for a bit. All right, next up, I'll make this quick because I know I want to keep all three of these. So the ColourPop Pretty Fresh Concealer, really, really, really wonderful. It's like light to medium coverage. It's a perfect shade for me. I have the shade Light 40N if you are near my skin tone. It's super hydrating, really, really beautiful on my under eyes. I never have an issue with this concealer, and it's perfect for those kind of lighter coverage days. This is the LA Girl Pro Conceal in Peach Corrector is the shade. It is a little too dark for my skin tone to use under my eyes for my dark circles just on its own, but I mix it in a lot of times with my other concealers that I love, and it gives it just that slight peachy hue. And I actually much prefer how this looks mixed into my concealers as compared to that Becca Under Eye Corrector. I just think this gives it a much more flawless finish. So I love this as a mix-in. And then last up is my Kokie Be Bright Illuminating Concealer. This has never been like my all-time favorite concealer. It's even lighter coverage than my ColourPop, so I really only use it when it's gonna be basically the only complexion product on my face. It doesn't really pair super well with my foundations and stuff. It just doesn't give me enough coverage for that, but it's really beautiful for kind of a no makeup day, and it's almost gone. So I would like to just use this up and get it out of my collection. So let's go ahead and put all of these back. I think this is going to be a relief to me to see how empty this little bin is now. Beautiful, I love it. I can really focus on the things I love here now rather than always being distracted by everything else. All right, next up is the little bin with kind of eyeliners and mascaras as well as brow products. This comes out of that big white bin that I showed you at the beginning, and I'm gonna be honest, I'm basically keeping all of this, so I'll just kind of show you around, show you what I've got here. I have 2 brow pencils, my 2 favorite drugstore options, which is the Essence Eyebrow Designer and the e.l.f. Instant Lift Brow Pencil. This one's almost gone, so I'll switch over to the Essence soon enough here. And then I have 4 brow gels. First is my clear brow gel, the NYX Control Freak. You get more product in this than like any other brow gel I've ever bought. And for just a clear brow gel, this works incredibly well, especially for my like bushy, unruly brows. It works great. And I really love it. This one is almost gone, like really, really close. I bet I'll use it 3-4 more times and it'll be gone. So that's exciting. And then I have 3 tinted brow gels. One is from Merit. It's in the shade Blonde. One is from Essence. It's the Make Me Brow. And I have the shade Blondie Brows in that one. And then I have the shade Taupe in the e.l.f. Wow Brow. All 3 of these are great for different things. I mean, the e.l.f. and the Essence actually are my favorites when it comes to actual hold and tint in my brows. The Merit is not my favorite formula of all time. It works just fine. It's just more of a pomade texture, and so it doesn't hold my brows in place super well. But again, on a no makeup day, it's really nice to just run this through my brows, give them a little bit of a tint, a little bit of a lift, and run out the door. So I do like this. I'll use it up. Then on this half, let's see. I have 4 mascaras open right now, which is more than I typically like to have open. This Thrive Liquid Lash Extensions is one of my favorites. It's in brown. It's in the shade Crystal, but it's a brown shade, and I really, really love it. Again, for those no makeup days, super beautiful formula, and it's tubing, so it comes off beautifully at the end of the night. This Merit mascara is also a tubing formula. It's a little less satisfying when it comes off. It doesn't come off in like the perfect little tubes like the Thrive does, but it still comes off without scrubbing at my eyes or putting any like harsh chemicals near my lashes. So this is really nice as well. I have this in black. I think it's the only shade they have in this one. Love it. I also have the Essence Volume Stylist Lash Extension Mascara. This is almost gone. It is like so dry. I'm having trouble coating my lashes with it, so probably 2 more times and this will be gone. But I do really love it. I love this mascara so much. And then last up, I have the Essence Lash Princess False Lash Effect Waterproof Mascara. This is not one of my favorite formulas. I just needed a waterproof mascara to wear with my false lashes on my wedding day. So I bought like the cheapest one I could find, and this was it. I'm gonna hold on to it because we have a couple weddings coming up this year. I'm a crier. I can't help myself. I cry happy tears all the time. So I know I will be crying at those events, and so I will hold on to this mascara. I've heard that these tubing formulas won't come off when you cry, but I just don't know if I trust it. I'm like really a crier. So I think I'm gonna stick with this waterproof formula. And then I have eyeliners. I just have one brown liner from Essence. It's just called, I don't know, Extreme Lasting Waterproof Eye Pencil in the shade But First Espresso, just a brown liner. I have a black pencil liner from the e.l.f. and Jen Atkin collection. It's the Zero Effort liner. It's black. This is actually a bit too smudgy for me. I bought it because I needed a black eyeliner that wasn't a liquid liner, but this one is like, it really doesn't stay put. This might just need to go, because in place of using this, I have just been using black eyeshadow to make black liner because this has been bothering me so much. You know what? I think I'm just gonna go ahead and get rid of this. And then I have the ColourPop Cream Gel Liner in the shade, what is this called? Extra Frosting. It's like a very light yellow color. And I do really like this, but the top of it keeps snapping off when I use it. So, I mean, we'll see how long it actually lasts. It looks like there's so much in here. Like I just keep twisting forever and ever. But I know now from experience that it's just going to basically, I don't know, snap off every time I try to use it. It just feels a little bit dried out. I'll hold on to it though and just see. And then I have this ABH liquid liner. That's all it's called. It's just a black liquid liner. It's pretty good. I actually really like it. It doesn't really move around throughout the day. I'm happy with it. It's definitely not waterproof, but it's close enough for like everyday wear. I really like this. And then I have the Sex Kitten Liner from Tarte. The lid was not on tight on that, so I'm sure this is dried out now. This is a good one as well. I really, really like this. This is one I've actually had multiple times in the past. I didn't repurchase this. It came free with an order, but I'm happy to have it. So I'll use this one up as well. Again, nothing decluttered from here. I expected that. It's just kind of my normal use stuff. None of this is that exciting to me, but I thought I'd share it with you anyway. Okay, onto this other little bin that I have here. This is face powders and these are bronzers. So let's do them separately. Okay, face powders, I don't think I plan to declutter any of these. This is the KVD Locket Setting Powder. This is not my absolute favorite, but man, is this little tiny thing super handy for travel. To not have to take a big, huge powder compact thing, or not compact, a whole loose powder container when you travel is really, really nice. So I'm gonna hold on to this basically because it's really convenient and it's a good enough powder. It's just a tiny, tiny bit more drying than I personally would like. And these two powders are just so outstanding that that one has a hard time standing up to it, basically. This is the Bare Minerals Hydrating Mineral Veil. Perfect, beautiful, flawless, my ideal powder, especially in the winter. And then I have the Maybelline Fit Me. I have the shade 10 Fair Light. It is not a ton of coverage that it adds, but I like to keep this around because it's a really finely milled powder. It comes with just like a ton of powder for like $5. And it is really nice and blurring, and it does add just a little bit of coverage. So this is nice for those times when I really want full coverage because none of my foundations are like full coverage. And so adding just a little bit extra with this and some concealer really does the trick. So I'm gonna hold on to all three of my powders. And now bronzers. Well, this one is a bronzer and a highlighter, and I'll spoil the fun. I'm keeping this. It's from Alma Beauty. It's the Double Take Contour Stick. It has this kind of, it's much more cool toned. It's definitely a contour shade. I can almost use it as a bronzer in the winter. And then the other side is a really beautiful kind of like pinky toned rose gold highlighter. Love this, love both formulas. Definitely keeping this. And then my other cream one here is from Milk Makeup. It's their just normal matte bronzer in the shade Baked. I really love this as well. It's just a really good kind of go-to bronzer shade. It blends out beautifully. It's actually, man, it's pretty old, but it doesn't smell weird or anything. It doesn't seem like it has gone off, so I'm gonna use it until I feel like it's not safe to use. Powder bronzers, here's the deal. I don't think I need all four of these. I see some that I'm definitely keeping, like this Balm Desert from the Balm. This is like my all-time favorite bronzer. It's a gorgeous shade. You can see compared to these ones down here. Let me just hold it up next to like my e.l.f. bronzer. It's a lot more red toned. It's rosier and it just looks much more natural on my skin tone than my more orange toned bronzers. Of course, there's a time and a place for wanting an orange toned bronzer. Like in the summertime, I do love those, but in the winter, this Balm Desert is beautiful. And if I want to look like I got sunburnt, this is perfect. So definitely keeping this. It's extremely unique to me. And then I also love my Nabla Skin Bronzing in the shade Ambra. I had a love-hate relationship for this, or with this for a bit. It just was, it's so, it's not very pigmented. You really have to dig your brush in there. And it's relatively close to my skin tone when I'm in the summer. So it doesn't really give me much in the summer. But in the winter, it's a perfect bronzer because I can like never go overboard. There's no way to over apply this for me. It is just really, really beautiful. I love it. I will use this up probably in my lifetime because I have a hard time finding bronzers. Even the lightest bronzer in some shade ranges is not quite light enough for me in the winter months. And so I really cherish this. Now these two are the two that I'm thinking I don't need both of them. They're very similar. Sorry, I should have said what they are. This is the Daniel Sandler Powder Bronzer, and this is the e.l.f. Forever Sun Kissed bronzer, or it's called Primer Infused bronzer in the shade Forever Sun Kissed. They look sort of like different colors here in the pans. The Daniel Sandler looks way, way darker, but it's a really, really finely milled sheer formula. So on my face, they look essentially the same. They're basically my two warm toned bronzers. They're the two that I wear if I want that like very, very bronze, glowy, sun-kissed look. So let me just swatch them really quick. So here's the Daniel Sandler and here's the e.l.f. They do look really different, I guess. Okay, so Daniel Sandler is here and e.l.f. is here. I just don't think I need this Daniel Sandler one. It is so intense. I think someone with slightly darker skin than me would be better suited to that. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of that. And I'm gonna hold on to my e.l.f. bronzer. And I should mention, now that we're kind of onto these face products, I do have a couple face palettes coming up. So like these are not all of my bronzers even. And so the fact that I can get rid of like 1 or 2 or 3 of them at a time is really, really good for me because I just don't need quite this many. Okay, let's do single highlighters. So again, reminder, I have some more highlighters in palettes, and also I have this highlighter that I just talked about in the Alma Beauty Double Take Contour Stick. And actually, let's start on that line of thinking with this Merit stick highlighter. This one is more of a champagne shade, whereas that Alma Beauty was like rose gold. So they are different, and I'm inclined to keep this Merit Beauty one just because I own the entire Merit Beauty line. They sent every one of everything to me, and this is a good formula. I just feel like I'm never reaching for it, and you know what? I don't know why. Because I love it. I really do love it. I think it's beautiful. I think it's overpriced. It's not maybe the first thing I'd recommend if you were looking for like a cream highlighter, but it's beautiful. And since I own it, I don't want to waste it. I think I'm going to put this in the my little chopping block video, or bucket, I should say, because I think I need to just try this out again and say like, okay, really, is this anything special? Do I actually need to keep it, or am I only keeping it because I own everything else from Merit? We'll see. The rest of these I really love. I'll talk through them quickly, but I think I'm going to keep them. So this first one is the Kokie Soft Glow Highlighter. Oh my gosh, come on. In the shade Heavenly. It's the perfect highlighter for me in the summer when I want to look glowy, but I don't want there to be a stripe of highlight on my face. It's like my exact skin tone in the summer. And so it's really, really perfect for that. It's also a beautiful, subtle eyeshadow for me that gives me kind of that like glowing look without a specific color showing up on my face. So I really love this highlighter. I also really like this one from Estate Cosmetics. It's their baked highlighter in the shade Lit, and it's the only golden toned highlighter I've ever found that I like on my skin tone. So it has that yellow gold undertone, but it's not so overwhelming on my skin. I do really, really like this. I am kind of looking around though. This is definitely the one that would go if something went. And I'm feeling like I need to kind of reduce this collection a little. So this one might actually also go. I do love this. Oh gosh, I don't know. I wear it the least. Let's just put it that way out of all of these. And I think that's because that golden look only goes with so many things. And I have this Kokie one now. And in one of my face palettes, I have sort of a golden one. I think this is going to go in maybe the chopping block video as well. I'm not ready to totally let go of it, but I do think it needs to kind of sit to the side. Next up is the Tribe Highlighter Volume 3 by Juvia's Place. Probably the best like bam in your face highlighter that I own. Love this. Then the Nabla Skin Glazing in the shade Privilege. This one has a nice pinky tone and I love that as well. Do I need it? Probably not, but it's just riding the line between like an intense highlight and a wearable highlight. And so I reach for this all the time. And then the classic Essence Stay Nude highlighter. This one is just the most perfect highlighter that I think I've ever had. It is perfect. It doesn't look like much in the pan, but it's perfect for my skin tone. And it's not too glowy, but it's just glowy enough to give that beautiful lit from within vibe. So definitely keeping that. Okay, on to blush. I am ready to make some cuts here because I've been overwhelmed lately with my blush collection, and I know that it's just because I need to filter through and get rid of some things that are kind of redundant. So first thing that comes to mind, I got this Kosas Color and Light Pressed Powder blush duo in the shade Contra Chroma. I got it free in an order from Kosas. I have decided not to touch it because when it came, I realized it's almost the exact same color, really tonally, as my e.l.f. Primer Infused Blush in Always Earthy. These are essentially the same because this shimmery side of the Kosas blush, I can't use as a highlighter. So I've been just, thinking if I were to use this, I would just mix them together anyway, and they would end up this color. So I'm keeping the e.l.f. one, which I've used, and I'm gonna go ahead and sell this Kosas one because it's brand new. I am also feeling like I probably can get rid of my Milani Luminoso blush. This one is untouched. I used to have another one and I got rid of it at one point. I decluttered it because I was like, I don't like orange blush on myself. And this is now very orange. It used to be kind of more of a peachy tone. I had one like years and years ago and it was peachy. This is much more orange than I remember it. I bought it, I decluttered it, or I gave it to a friend really, and then I bought it again because I was like, man, people keep talking about this still years and years later, and it is too orange. I opened it up and I immediately knew. So I opened it, but it's unused. So again, I think someone else should just have this. I'm not gonna use it. This, I'll just address the elephant in the room. I haven't used this on my channel yet. This is the Pat McGrath blush, and I got it in the shade Flirtatious. Let me just open it up for you because, man, it's beautiful. I cannot wait to use this. I haven't even touched it yet because I want to get some good photos, but look at that. It's like the perfect neutral blush. I can't wait. I can't wait. I have nothing else like it in my collection, and I'm very excited. Okay, another one that's relatively new to me as well that I haven't used on here, but I've shown this on Instagram a ton, is the Fenty Cheeks Out Freestyle Cream Blush, and I have it in the shade Drama Class. Beautiful, beautiful purple. Absolutely love this shade, and it's been really flattering. I've loved it. It has been really, really nice to have it to mix with some of my other cream blushes to kind of cool them down a bit because I do have slightly more cool undertones, neutral leaning cool, and a lot of blushes released these days are so warm, and I love warm cheeks, but on me a warm cheek is much less warm than on someone with warm undertones, if that makes sense. So I have really loved having this in my collection. Very useful but beautiful on its own as well. And since getting that, I've realized that I don't think I need my Balm Fire Beachgoer Blush Duo anymore. This is really, really glowy, insanely glowy. I mean, like, these might as well be highlighters. It does say blush / highlighter duo, and I think that's because on darker skin tones, these would definitely work as genuine highlighters. So there's a pink one here, and there's a purple one here. I had been holding on to it because I like the purple. I like having a cool toned blush option, but the glowiness of this really does mean I only use it when I'm really, really in the mood for it. And this pink one, I have this Kaleido Cosmetics one I'll talk about in a second that is almost the same color. And so I don't think I need this anymore. I really love it. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. I think someone else would just get more use out of it. And I'd prefer not to hold on to it just for the sake of holding on to it because I like it. Okay, the rest of these I do really love. So I'll go quickly, but I think most of them are staying. So like I was saying, I do have a pink glowy blush in a single here from Kaleido Cosmetics. I love this formula. It is their skin blush in the shade Prima Donna. Love it. I also will never not love my Essence Satin Touch blush. I have the shade Satin Love. Obviously you can see the packaging is broken, but this is just a stunning, stunning blush. It is like a perfect toasty shade on my skin tone. So I am gonna probably hold on to this until it's gone. Love that. I also really, really do love the Merit cheek color in, I think it's called Flesh Balm, and then the shade is Cheeky. It's a good cool tone pink. So again, really leaning into those more cooler tones. I really love this color on my skin tone. So definitely holding on to that one as well. And then on to Daniel Sandler. I love these blushes so much, but I go through them so slowly because you need almost none, and I'm worried they're gonna go bad on me. I need to be pulling these out more often. This is probably my warmest toned blush, and I love it. It is perfect. It's not too warm and peachy, but on me, it looks like a gorgeous warm peach, and I love it. It's the shade Caress from Daniel Sandler in the watercolor liquid formula. Definitely a keeper. Also a keeper, I've got to mix it up, is the shade Rose Glow, and it's their what do I call it? It's basically a highlighter formula. I don't think they call it that though. Dang it, it doesn't say. Anyway, it's like their illuminator highlighter version. I really love it. These are relatively similar colors. The highlighter version does it's a little pinker rather than peach, and it has that shimmer in there. This is a really beautiful blush on me. It works as a highlight too, but it's a really beautiful like blush topper effect. I love this. And also from Daniel Sandler in their gel formula is the shade Petal. Love this. I just, man, I would have a hard time ever parting ways with these Daniel Sandler cheek products, but they're creams and liquids, and I know that I need to be using them up a little quicker than I am because I've already had them for quite a while. I'm going to keep them because I love them so much, but I need to be conscious of the fact that I need to be using them up more. Okay, I feel good about that. I got rid of quite a few blushes, so I just really have the ones that I love the most left. Happy with that. Okay, face palettes then. So these are the remaining pieces of like my cheek collection, I guess you could say. Oh, well, yeah, I'm gonna do this here, I guess. Okay, so I just realized I made a small mistake. This from Rouge, it's the powder lip palette in the shade Signature, and it's actually supposed to be powder lip products, but I've been stirring it with my face palettes because they also work as blushes, and because this doesn't really fit nicely in with my lips, but I forgot to swatch these on my lips in that lip video, so I'll talk about it now. It's basically brand new to my collection. I haven't used it in a video yet. I love all 4 of these shades on my lips, and I haven't tried all 4 on my cheeks yet, but I've tried a couple of them on my cheeks and they perform beautifully on my cheeks as well. So this is going absolutely nowhere. I love this. I love it. And I think now that I'm sitting here realizing that I keep forgetting about it, I think I'm going to stick it into my lip bin because I think it'll fit now that I decluttered some of my lip products. Okay, it did, it fit, so that's great. So I have 4 actual face palettes now to talk through. So first up, I'm just gonna talk about one that's not going anywhere. This is the Smashbox Cali Contour Palette. This is my favorite face palette, I think. Well, it's my favorite powder one, I'll put it that way. I love this, it's a really complete palette. You get a face powder as well. I will just say I don't love this face powder. It's a little too drying for me, but it's handy. I mean, like for travel, good enough. And I love every shade in here. I really, really adore this palette. So definitely keeping this. My other favorite is my Salt New York palette, and this is creams. I have 4 different shades. They do come out of here. This is just a magnetic palette. They do come out. So, you know, I think of this as a palette because I have bronzer, highlighter, and 2 blushes in here, but really they are individual products. That being said, I love these products so, so much. They are so high performing, so high quality. They look beautiful on my dry skin. I adore them. I will never, ever, ever give this up. You're gonna have to pry it from my cold, dead hands. This is a deep love for me. That being said, this e.l.f. Lip and Cheek palette is sort of a similar thing, right? It has, let me get this out of here. It has a bronzer, 2 blushes, and a highlight in here. And I do like this. I got it on a really good deal. I got it for like $3 for the whole palette. They're really nice formulas, and they're very different from the Salt New York. These are much like thicker, creamier textures. The Salt New York is a little more balmy, a little more thin. You can just build it up a little bit differently. This has never worked super great for me. I like it, and I like it for the price, but that's the problem, is I like it for the price. And so I think it's time for me to just kind of like get rid of my illusions about this. I've been holding on to it because I thought like, well, it's just such a good deal. But that's a silly reason to keep it if I have something else, namely my Salt New York, that I like better. And also the Beauty Bakery Milk and Honey Highlighter Palette. This one I have such mixed feelings on. I got this from a family member. Not in necessarily a sentimental way. They just sent it to me because they thought I'd like it. I just can't use all of these shades. I will say they show up a little lighter on the skin than they look in here. So actually like these three kind of work as highlighters. Like this one would work as a highlighter for me in the summer, I think, but it's a little too warm toned still, even though the like depth of the shade would work. And this is way too glowy to be like a bronzer for me. So this is a case where I think I just need to let it go. I've only used it once and then swatched it once. And so someone could get so much good use out of this gorgeous palette. The formula is beautiful. I just think it's not for me. So that was good. I kind of narrowed it down to just my two favorite face palettes, and I feel really good about that. And now the part I'm dreading the most. These are my eyeshadow palettes. So I'm gonna go ahead and kind of try to organize this madness a little bit in front of me in a way where I can go through things. Okay, we're gonna start here, which is like small 5 or fewer shadow palettes and also single shadows. So let's scoop, well, this has 6 shadows, I guess. So 6 and smaller. Let's start with some single shadow conversation. So these are from JD Glow. I couldn't think of the name. These are from JD Glow. They're just in an Ofra case here, but these beautiful single shadows I absolutely love. This one pressed is just a normal metallic formula. These 3 are their Galaxy shades and they're like very unique. This one I don't really love. Honestly, I should get rid of it, but I have this quad, I have the space for it. I have to keep this much room anyway, so I'll probably hold on to it. Just if I'm being honest, I probably will never really use that. So I kind of want to get rid of it. I kind of want to keep it. I'm not sure what to do about that one, but I think for now I'm just going to hold on to it. Sydney Grace, sort of the same situation here actually. And don't worry, I've already tried to kind of configure a way to get like these all in one palette and I can't. So so that won't work. But the mattes from Sydney Grace, I don't love them enough that I feel the need to keep them. And I've also found that this shade down here, what are you called? Red Chameleon. I found that I don't like how that looks on me. It's a red brown base with this green top that you can see here now. I just don't like how it looks on my kind of deep set eyes. Not super flattering. So I like these 3 shimmers, and I do actually like this this dark brown up here called Dark Chocolate. It's my only super warm toned true brown, I think, in my whole collection. That might not be true, but it's convenient because I like to take it along on trips when I don't want to pack like extra eyeliners and stuff. It works really well as an eyeliner and it helps to deepen up some of my lighter toned palettes you're going to see. So there are some in here too that I would maybe get rid of, but because I have the palette, because I have the space, I'm just going to hang on to them for now. I don't know. I might regret that, but we'll see. ColourPop Super Shock in Amaze, definitely one of my all-time favorite eyeshadows, keeping for sure. And then I have these 3 kind of single other format products. This is the e.l.f. No Budge Shadow Stick in the shade Perfect Pearl. It's really beautiful. I do like it. I don't think it's necessarily that useful. I don't use it all the time, but every once in a while, I just want an inner corner pop, and I have like a full face of creams, and I just, you know, I just use this on my inner corner and my brow bone for like a no makeup look, and it just brings some life to my eyes. So I do use it. It's maybe not my most used product, but I use it every once in a while and I'll keep it. And then I have Glossier Sky Wash in the shade Terra, and I have Glossier Lid Star in the shade Cub. Now Terra I don't use super often. It's just deep enough of a color on me that it stresses me out a little bit when I'm using it because it spreads really, really, really far, really, really, really fast. But I like it enough, and I do think it's useful for like trips. I could bring this as my only eyeshadow and get a pretty dimensional look because it has so much pigment in it. I could really sheer it out on my lids, or I could build it up quite a bit. It is useful for things like that. So I'm holding on to it. The thing I really love is Lid Star. I love this. I love the shade Cub. It stays put for so long. I mean, just like Sky Wash, it's like once it has dried down, it is not going anywhere. And so because I said earlier during the primer section, like I said, I've been having some issues with my eyeshadow kind of moving around a bit, and this does not do that. So it's really valuable to me and I really love it. So I'm keeping all of those. Now, onto my smaller palettes. I think there are going to be quite a few cuts made here. So both of these e.l.f. bite-sized palettes, I have the shade Berry Bad right here, and I have the shade Pumpkin Pie right here. These are both really nice. There is absolutely nothing wrong with them from a formula standpoint. They just aren't the most exciting color stories. I have all of these shades somewhere else 1,000 times over, and so I'm just gonna go ahead and pass them on. I just don't have a need for them anymore. Next up, Aether Beauty, what is this one again? Ametrine Mini Crystal Palette. I really love this palette. I think it's one of the most beautiful quads I've ever seen. The only thing it's really missing for me is a good highlighting shade, but again, usually I have like a face highlighter or something to use. I love the tones in here so much. They're mauve without being too deep for my skin tone, so I really, really love them. Definitely keeping this. However, I am going to go ahead and pass along this Essence I Like to Mauve It palette. You can see this one's just much, much more cool toned. Every time I use this, my look basically comes out gray. You don't pick up any of the mauve undertones in there, and so it's a disappointment for me each time I use it. It just turns gray, and it also has a really weird like vanilla smell and I don't like it, so I'm getting rid of this one. Next up, Natasha Denona Mini Nude Palette. Definitely a keep. I love these. These are like the perfect warm tones for me. They are not so warm that I can't like pull them off on my cool skin tone. They're extremely flattering. This shimmer shade here in particular is one of my all-time favorites, so definitely keeping that. This Ofra palette, this is their signature palette in the shade Sweet Dreams. I'm thinking I might give this away. I think I'm gonna give this away. It has a beautiful highlighter in the center from Ofra, but it's a pink toned highlighter, which I already have a couple of. And I just don't think I need these peachy tones anymore. You'll see coming up, I have a relatively new palette to my collection, and it replaces basically a lot of these tones. A combination of a couple of my other palettes do. And this is not my all-time favorite formula. I like their mattes enough, but this right here is supposed to be a shimmer shade, and it's kind of a lackluster satin. So I think this is just on its way out. And then I have my two Voyeuristic Vixen quads from Pat McGrath. If you missed kind of the story behind why I have two of these, it's a long story. Sephora shipped them both broken twice. So this is the one that I repressed, and I actually mixed these two shades that had shattered into kind of a conglomerate shade and then put that back in both spots here. But anyway, it's my favorite quad that I own. I'll just put it that way. I'm going to keep both of them. One is the original, this one. So here you can see it's clearly two different shades over there. The other one has them mixed together in both slots, but this is what the quad actually looks like. It's my favorite. I love it. I think it's perfect. I've talked about it a billion times on my channel, so I will not bore you with the details, but just know those will be going absolutely nowhere, and neither will their absolutely gorgeous packaging. But that feels good. I knocked down like half of these little small palettes, and that feels really, really good. I did not need most of those. Okay, I have 3 strictly neutral palettes. A lot of my other palettes that I'm about to bring out also have neutrals in them, but these 3 are truly only neutrals. Like there's not really color hardly in any of these. So the first one is ColourPop Going Coconuts. Now, when I look at this, honestly, I feel like I should declutter it only because I have these tones elsewhere. And this shade here, Cocoa Crush, which is like the standout from the palette, it kind of drives me nuts because it falls out all over my face. And so I actually have not been using these a ton, but I will be honest, the thing stopping me from getting rid of it is that I can take any of these out of these pans here and put them in a magnetic palette. And I did that when I went on my honeymoon with some of these and some Ofra shades, and I created like the most perfect custom palette for me. And I was very, very grateful to have this. So I'm keeping it basically for utility purposes. It's just not a palette that excites me anymore, but it's a great starter palette if you need one. Okay, next up is my ABH Sultry palette, a more cool toned palette. And this is what I mean by I just don't need the Going Coconuts anymore. Like all of those shades are in here in a better formula, in my opinion, in a palette that I love. So I adore this palette. I will not get rid of it. But again, I can't pop the shadows out of here like I can with ColourPop. So I'm keeping both. They're very, very redundant. I adore this palette so much though. I love that it has a matte black and a matte brown in here. Just stunning. Perfect. And then last up in my very neutral category is the Alter Ego Canyon palette, which is a dupe for the Natasha Denona Bronze palette. I really like this. This is definitely my warmest tone palette. I mean, you can see here next to the Natasha Denona Mini Nude even, that the Mini Nude, oh gosh, come on. That the Mini Nude is not even as warm as this, and the Mini Nude is pretty dang warm. So it is for sure my warmest, toastiest palette. I don't use this a ton. I do love some shimmers in here a lot. The formula is absolutely outstanding, but when I reach for deep shades, I don't tend to gravitate towards the kinds of colors they have in here. So this is like a dark purple, and it kind of makes my eyes look a little bit bruised almost. And then this is a dark, very dark red, which just isn't always the most flattering on my skin tone. But I love all the mid-tone shades in here. I love the shimmers. So I'm gonna keep it. It is really my warmest palette, and I do like it for that. Okay, and then I've got basically just everything else here. So let me go palette by palette, I suppose. This one, the KKW Beauty Classic Blossom palette, is also pretty neutral. I mean, that's basically a neutral palette. I put it with these more colorful ones because it has kind of these more berry tones over here. And this is actually partly why I felt okay getting rid of my e.l.f. Berry Bad palette. I really, really love this half of this Classic Blossom palette. And I also love these mattes. These mattes in this palette are stunning. I adore them. I love this palette, honestly. I wish that KKW Beauty I don't even know, they're rebranding or something. I wish this was still available because I constantly want to recommend it to you guys, and then I remember you can't get it anymore, and it makes me sad. I love this. Another one I love that's absolutely not going anywhere is the Charlotte Tilbury Instant Eye Palette in Smoky Eyes Are Forever. I love this palette so much. I mean, it has the most beautiful subdued tones, and I've never gotten tired of it. Every time I open this, I feel so, so excited to use it. I love the mixture of cool and warm in here. I love the textures included, and I love, again, matte black, matte brown, and in this one, added bonus, matte cream. Love it. Huda Beauty Mercury Retrograde. So this is the one I was saying kind of replaces some of my more colorful shades in other palettes. I just got this on clearance at Sephora, and it has some of those peachy shades. It also has some beautiful mauves, some really gorgeous neutrals, and a bit of color up here that I am a little less comfortable with, but I am trying it out. I'm loving it. The textures in this palette are outstanding. I love, love, love the color story. The packaging to me online always looked so cheap. It always looks so, so cheap to me. And when it's in my hands, it is like heavy, luxe, beautiful plastic packaging. I love the package on this. And I'm just so excited about it. I can't even explain to you. Sorry, we're gonna open it up and look at it one more time because guys, I just Look at it. It's beautiful. I've loved it for a really long time. I just never wanted to pay $65 for it. And on sale, I got it for like 25 bucks. Stunning. Okay, down to these 4. So far, I've only decluttered little tiny palettes. I don't know what it is, but in my mind, getting rid of something a little larger feels really intimidating. I think because it makes me feel like I'm like losing more. But let's just go through them one at a time. Nomad by Juvia's Place. This is going nowhere. These grungy greens are my dream. I love them. I like the other shades in here just fine, but honestly, I keep this palette for these few grungy greens mostly. This brown, I should look at this compared to my Sydney Grace one maybe and just see. I should look around, I guess, at my browns and see if I have something that can replace that Sydney Grace really warm, nice brown. But I'm keeping this palette for sure. Another one I'm keeping for sure is ColourPop Lust for Dusk. Again, I can take all of these out and build my own little palettes with them, and that's really, really great. And I love that. Some of the formulas in here are unbelievable. Like this and here, those two are a formula I've never tried from ColourPop before. I've never felt them before. I've never seen them before from ColourPop. They are like incredibly foiled and incredibly reflective, and they look almost glittery, but they do not have glitter in them. So really, really love this palette. This is probably my favorite palette of the year, honestly, which is nuts because I've tried some very, very luxury formulas, but just this is such a well-rounded, beautiful palette. I would highly, highly recommend this. Again, ColourPop Lust for Dusk. Okay, we're down to 2, and I procrastinated getting to these 2 for a reason, and it's because I'm not sure either of them is going to make the cut. So let's just look at the Magic Mini by Juvia's Place really quick. So this one here, the reason I have always kept it is because it was my fun, colorful palette. And when I say that, I mean like these pinks are absolutely gorgeous. This shade Zupa or Faso, this one's Faso, is absolutely stunning. It's like a purple blue duochrome. And these 2 shades down here, these 2 corners are like my darkest, most pigmented shades. So a really, really dark purple, a really, really dark teal. I love them, but I am not sure I need them now that I have the colorful shades in the Huda Beauty Mercury Retrograde. I just feel like this is a little bit redundant now. I've never really used this palette to create just like full looks. I always use it as a companion palette with kind of some more neutrals because again, I'm just not really a colorful person just from the get-go. That being said, I do think I would really miss these deep mattes. I do think I'm gonna hold on to this for a while. I think it's just the closest to being on the chopping block of everything here. It's so beautiful. It's really good quality. It's feeling redundant. I'm gonna keep it for, no, I forgot. I have a chopping block box. I'm gonna put it in that box and I'm gonna reconsider. And then last up here, oh my goodness. Okay, this is the Ofra and Samantha March Life's a Draft palette. So you'll see it has face shades down here and then it has eyeshadows at the top. Like I already said with my other Ofra palette, their eyeshadow is not my all-time favorite, and I have a ton of mauves. Like the mauve shades I've got covered elsewhere in my collection 1,000 times over. Their shimmers are just really, really lackluster to me. Honestly, the part of this palette that's making me second guess is the face shades. I don't need the bronzer. I don't love the bronzer. It's okay. It's a good for like being in a palette like this, but I don't need it. The highlighter, beautiful. Ofra highlighters are gorgeous, but again, I have that shade. I have that shade, basically that identical shade in my Tribe highlighter from Juvia's Place. This blush though is really, really, really special. It's like a peachy mauve. I don't know how else to describe it. And honestly, before starting this video, I swatched it against a bunch of my other blushes, hoping that something would be similar enough that I could get rid of this like in good conscience and not think about it ever again. I don't think I can do that. So to be honest with you, what I'm gonna do with this, I think, I don't know, because I would love to sell it to someone who actually wants to use all the shades. And if I take the blush out, that kind of defeats the purpose, right? Oh my goodness, this is such a hard choice. I'm going to put this in the chopping block video. I'm going to try the blush out again. I might even put it on my face on one side and put something else on my other cheek, because that way I can see truly, even if stuff is swatching a little different on the back of my hand, maybe they're similar enough on my face, maybe I don't have to keep this. So I'm going to put this in my chopping block plans, and I think if I can let this blush go, I'm gonna let the whole thing go for sure. If I can't, I'll take the blush out and I'll just gift this to a friend rather than reselling it. So they can use the other pieces, but not kind of be disappointed that the blush is missing. So that goes in the chopping block. All right, and now to kind of reorganize just a little bit here. Okay, that feels so much better. I know there are a couple palettes sitting over there that I might get to, like I might keep them, but this just feels much more manageable, and I feel like I've got a good balance here of like the neutrals I feel comfortable with, cool, warm neutrals, and also the colors that I love most on myself. So that feels really, really good. And then just to do a really quick recap here, I have one thing I'm tossing just because it's very old, the NYX Angel Veil primer. I have this box of things that I want to try out before I decide whether to keep or kind of give them away, whether that means selling or whatever. I want to test these guys out one more time. And then I have this whole box that's actually very full, very full of things that I am going to be selling or giving away to friends and family. So I am very excited. I definitely don't feel any sort of emotional attachment to any of these things in this box. All of them feel like a relief to be getting rid of. And I feel like that's very indicative that I made thoughtful choices here. So that is it for me today. Thank you so much for being here, for watching through kind of this whole process with me. I really, really love decluttering my makeup, especially at the beginning of a new year. It just really helps me focus on the things I love most. And I love that. I love my makeup. I love the creativity it brings out in me. But when it starts to get too packed full of stuff, I start to panic a bit, and I kind of then just retreat and use the same things over and over and over, and I don't get good use out of everything I love. So this has reminded me there are a few things I need to pull out more often, like those Daniel Sandler blushes, and it has also reminded me of some of the beautiful things I own that sometimes I haven't appreciated. So thank you again for being here, and I will see you next time.